Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire DeHuberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
Yeah, you gotta get squared up. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Making of Turbo Pitfighter, or Making Turbo Pitfighter. We shouldn't say the and of anymore. I'm Jake Jacobs. This is Kurt Brugel with me.
Howdy.
And we are broadcast. What I understand is we're broadcasting our 100th episode of Turbo.
Yeah.
Wow. How did we
So we got like four more episodes, and that'll give us our 2-year mark. And that's a pretty damn good thing to have accomplished in this here world we live in, especially when it comes to podcasting. Like, how many people start podcasts and then, fizzle out or just get frustrated and bail out? But yeah, we'll be crossing the 2-year mark in 1 month. So I have a huge amount of pride, and I just want to give ourselves a little bit of round of applause.
Pro tip: just drop in a sound effect for that. Clapping. It's been a whirlwind. It's gone very fast. I think we just really started growing recently with our creator exchange segments, but we're just trying to stay tried and true on the Turbo series to making a comic on the air as a podcast. We can only really meet for an hour or two a week to work on this, so the progress is glacial. We're just closing out on our 12 pages, but we are getting steadily better with the podcasting bit of it. We have our Comics That Influence series and our Creator Exchange series, as well as our Turbo series, which is the 100th, actually, believe it or not, episode. So congrats to all of us. And what do you got there today, Kurt? I see you're doing some lettering, and you're doing the...
Yep.
You're doing the jaggy word balloons.
Yep. The narrator.
The announcers.
Yep, the announcers right there.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the announcer.
All right. Well, yeah, I have 4 pages to letter, which I'm going to get done today. You're working on the cover, which is basically integrating the masthead and putting the Dooms Mag logo on there. And I have a little bit of touch-ups, but I just want to say that this time next week, we'll both have official proofreader copies that we can go ahead and critique and then put those final touches on it and get it to the printer. So we are coming around the corner. And I actually have gotten 3 emails this week about when this comic is going to, be available. And they're all from our Indie Comic Exchange. As a matter of fact, this morning I just got an email from Robin Ator. So, Robin, if you're listening, thank you for reaching out. Of course, I've responded to your email, but it's always good to hear you. Robin Ator was our first comic book artist to come in and talk about his 80s comic, Kyra. And he got the whole Comics That Influence thing going. So we have a great admiration and appreciation for Robin.
So are you saying that people can contact you for or placing advance orders? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes and no. I always hate putting the cart before the horse and too many chickens in my basket. But because there's always things that can come around. Once again, we only dedicate Sundays or have Sundays dedicated to working on this. I have a little bit of time this week. I've wiggled out so I can close off what I think is really what needs to be done in order to put the teaser together. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And as I said in past episodes, we're only going to be interviewing those individuals who were the first 9 that we did in the indie exchange, as long as they have a comic book that they want to exchange with us. Then we'll start scheduling people that are new to the indie exchange, indie comic exchange. But also, I'm going to do my very best and improve on what I had not done for us this year, which was giving us some breaks in between the interviews every week. So that's that. So,
Quick question,
yep.
Kurt. You sent me the Virgin cover today, and I'm trying to place the masthead here
Yeah.
on it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be like playing around with this, knocking out the fist and stuff. Um, so what are you sending me? What's the resolution you're sending me? Is this 8.5, 11 at
No, it should be. It
300,
should be my
400?
13 by 19 by 300.
Okay, 13. Let's see. I'm getting it at actually 16 by 18 by 300 over here. That's the document size when I open it.
That's weird. That's why is it 16 and a half? Let me check. Let me just check my source.
Well, bigger is better.
Yeah.
Bigger is always better. Folks might disagree with this because you're carrying around. Oh, here, look, it's like not cropped all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with your little Quark Express thing, but you're definitely, you got a big black thing on the right hand. So your document size is set to 16 and a half, not the image. The image is 13. Yep, there you go.
Okay, I just cropped it. Let's see now. Yeah. So
yeah, there you go.
When folks are making something for professional offset printing, it only has to be 300 DPI at size. If you're doing line art, which means it's not going to be 4-color process, you could raise the resolution and you would get tighter corners and thinner strokes. It would be visible mostly with a loop. It probably wouldn't be visible to the naked eye. Most people would never notice, but it does give you the flexibility in the future to print these things at higher resolution. And if you don't scan it at a high resolution and then you composite all these things, you'll never be able to print it out any larger without getting jaggies and stair steps. So it's something that I always try to increase the resolution of everything that I'm working on. I have this like maybe boozy dream that one day we're going to do a gallery show and we're going to blow up the pages real big, and like post them so that people would walk through the gallery and see the pages.
I'm down with that.
But if we do that, we have to do our scans much higher res, and then we can use a version of them to work on, because it doesn't make any sense to hand a printer a 50 meg file if it only needs to be like 17 or 20 megs or something. But you lose that flexibility later. So I was saying that to the guy that I was hiring. I'm saying to Kurt too. Also, like, I don't know if you want to, send these things at 400 DPI instead, or if you want to send them at larger sizes. But it's something that I would always consider. Yeah, because when I made this Turbo Pitfighter logo, um, I had a pencil sketch, which you guys might have seen on the pod. I brought it into Flash, and then I made it a scalable vector version. So what you're seeing right here is just an export of a JPEG that I made huge and you could just make it any size you want. This is 37 inches at 450 dpi, so this is ready for the billboard in Times Square right here.
Hell yeah.
Um, or the PA Pike or whatever. But I brought it in now to the comic page, and you can see I'm getting the spinning wheel anytime you're handling this big file. So there is a price to pay for speed and efficiency. But once I have it here in Photoshop as a layer, um, all I really need to work on here on this file is I just want to place the masthead, and then I have to put the Doom Magazine's logo somewhere on this page too, which might be tough because I'm not really seeing a place for it, honestly. Let's see if I can get this back in front. Now I'm confronted with the spinning wheel. Here we go. Save changes? No, don't save it. Okay, so this is where I am, and I'm going to be making this bigger. So Kurt, I sent you something I came across, and I don't know if you're going to be excited about this, but I was pretty surprised. Okay, and I might have mentioned my daughter is studying to be a elementary teacher. She is finishing her bachelor's right now, and so she was in the bookstore yesterday or the other day, Friday, and I went to join her because we were going to get a bite. And while I'm there in Barnes and Noble, I had a little glance at the magazine rack, and what did I come across but this interesting knockoff? Look at this. So there's actually a publishing company out of California right now called Warrant Publishing.
I've seen them.
And they have this is Shudder, which is I guess a knockoff on Eerie, and then they also have Vampress Carmilla, which is a knockoff on Vampirella. And I looked at the artwork inside, and it's really good, really good artwork. It's it's kind of comic-y in some cases, but it's kind of just like Warren-esque, in other cases, and they don't skimp on quality. I found one artist that was not as good as the others, but they're all pretty good, and the names seem like they're very, very just like foreign, you know, like maybe just getting people online, or I don't know how they find their contributors. But if you go to the back page, you can see this is Shutter number 15. So they've been doing this. I think one of these is, I think Vampiress is, they mentioned it's bi-monthly, but they're at number 20 already. So they've been doing this for over a year or multiple years. And, you look at the back page and you can buy all their back issues and stuff. So they're a going concern. And, it seems really interesting that somebody would do that. If you and the stories, one of these stories really made me chuckle. So it's really just in the vein of those, Eerie's, but maybe not as good, as far as the writing. And, they have a rotation of a couple of writers that are just like the same guys over and over, it seems like. But one of these stories really got me, to chuckle at the end. Some of them just kind of like end like, prematurely. They don't really like unwind too much of a yarn before they just end it, and they have the little host character there. But really fun stuff. Good black and white art, and then if you look in the back pages where they have all the ads, they're very, very tied into the Frazetta family. You can see that they have ads for the Frazetta Gallery. They're selling exclusive prints, like 500 limitations, of Frank Frazetta's paintings in like, colored geek clay prints. and they have run Frazetta covers on their. They have run Frazetta art on their covers for a couple of their mags. So I don't know what I never saw that before. Really interesting.
Well, that one Shudder title, I wonder if they're actually also working with the streaming channel Shudder, which is an amazing channel for sponsoring indie-made horror films. So I'm not a huge horror movie person. I just don't ever get attracted by it. But there were a couple of commercials I saw somewhere, and they were for the Shudder, produced indie horror film, and I was pretty gobsmacked. I was like, wow, like if I had Shudder, I would most definitely check that out. So, cross promotional, I think, is a secret weapon amongst creators, not only comic books or films or anything creative right now. It probably behooves you to set up a nice little marriage, if you will, where the comic book is advertising your spiel and the movie's throwing, our television showing a commercial, television showing commercial streaming wise.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether that's related. I didn't see any ads for that. And when I was looking for, it's been a while since I've been in a Barnes and Noble looking at the magazine
me
section.
Too.
Because what I used to do is just like go pick out like a stack of magazines, put them on a table, get a coffee or whatever, and then I would just be there for hours. And it was hard, I pulled Juxtaposed magazine out. I couldn't find High Fructose magazine. I don't think they're there. They weren't there. I don't know if
maybe they were sold out
anymore.
It's a pretty popular magazine,
right? And or maybe they were sold out. Yeah, that's a good point. Some of these magazines are, have a pretty healthy following and they're doing well. But there was a bunch of kind of like Scream Queens magazine and, Fangoria and Shock Cinema and stuff like that. In fact, I did snag, I pulled one of them. It was called like Shock Sleaze Cinema or something like that. And I wanted to get I just wanted to get a screenshot of some of the ads in the back because they're advertising rare, out of print, lost cult films on DVD, and there's like ad after ad for these things. Strange Vice, horror, Eurocine, exploitation, giallo, shot on video, Asian underground, art house, spaghetti, low budget action, politizioteshi, soundtrack, library music, garage, rock and roll, psych, surf, pulp fiction, and more. So these places have websites and catalogs. Some of them you can send like a couple of dollars to get their print catalog and see what they got. This is some of this stuff is like on the borderline of blurry lines with legality because copyrights are all like lost and nobody knows what the legality is anymore. But when you're looking for some of these movies that Kurt and I are trying to chase down and you can't find them, I think that these guys might be the place to. These people might be.
Hey, let me jump in and share something I found at a recent store based on our last episode of Comics That Influenced. I got myself to the Dollar Tree. By the way, this is not sponsored. We are not sponsored by the Dollar Tree, but Jake had shown off a comic book that just blew my mind. So yes, Jake had his segment half of Comics That Influence, and he showed off Final Faction First Impact, a comic book. I bought 3 copies, and
Whoa, you went
a toy. So I got one of the figures as well. $5 for 3 comics and a toy. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is I am just besotted with the idea that somebody as a parent could get their child for under $5. Children, actually, if you think about it. Some comic books and toys to, play with. And the reason I say play with is these are perfect platforms to leap off for the imagination. This is exactly what I personally grew up with, and I think most guys grew up with, was getting down to a store, whether you had a comic book store or not, but hit the 7-Eleven or the supermarket and finding the spinner rack on the comics, and everybody would buy their favorite comics and go back out in the woods, and everybody would read their comic and then hand it to their buddy to the next. And next thing you were off and running, inventing a character and a whole world and a whole scenery. And then eventually even making your own comics. But I just wanted to share this. I also wanted to thank you again for bringing this to light. There'll be a link in the episode that Jake shows off and we talk, because we really get in depth with the creators, who I do want to reach out to and see if they'll come on and talk with us a little bit more. But man, this is a great product that a corporation put together, and it looks like they really did it well. They did it with an understanding by depth. In other words, it wasn't a surface, a comic book and toys, let's just do that. It was, they brought people in, and those people were able to come back and say, no. This is how you got to do it. When you have young kids around 8 years old and they come across something like this, you can get them, and keep them. So I love the little ads and everything.
One thing about this series is, because we covered it on an episode, and Kurt said he's going to link to that. It's very campy, and there isn't, like, right on the first page they have, like, a comet crashing into the moon, or like, or a spaceship crashes into the moon and the moon explodes, right? And that's like at the first page. So, you see, the level of camp here. But, the whole thing throughout, there's really this, like, kind of like lightheartedness. And you could tell, like, because there's a new thing now with kids products. It's like not to introduce levels of stress. Like they have these cartoons like Franklin and Caillou now for little kids, and it's like, they don't want kids to get stressed out. They want kids to be very relaxed, and so because of that, there's never any real conflict. And I wonder what kind of ages they did gear this to, because
three and plus.
Right, 3 and plus, because the good guys always have this thing in hand, and they're wisecracking, and they do play up like that the bad guys are ugly and they're terrible and they're going to take over the world and all that. But it's just funny how they handle that. So I guess that's the new latest thing now, is just like de-stressifying conflict stories for little kids.
Well, the thing,
and I didn't really cover.
Yeah. But one of the other ideas I had, I haven't done a workshop in a while. I usually do. I'm usually approached, by art centers around me, and they'll, hey, Kurt, you want to come and do a comic book workshop? And usually I have something I'm really excited about. And so I want to do it. But now it's like, this is what I would do. I would give every participant, and I don't do my workshops age-based. In other words, I don't do kids workshops. I don't do adult workshops. I just do art workshops. The only thing I ask is the child or adult needs to have some maturity to them. So, but can you imagine, getting a comic book and a toy and a sketch pad and some pencils, and then being able to sit there and read and then pose a figure? Everybody would have a different figure that their character would be in the story, to be able to then generate a new story. That for me in education, arts, particular, is always what I go for. Is so many people when they want to make art, they're really talking about a commercialized acceptance. Like I want to make something everybody likes, and then you're stuck in that world of correct and right and wrong and all this nonsense when you're trying to develop as a creative mind. This is a perfect place to get yourself going. And getting yourself going is having a base. And the base is just working off of it. Mine was Ninja. I never collected any mainstream comics other than Conan, if you really wanted to call that a mainstream, because it was with Marvel at the time in the 80s. Um, and I always went after black and white because that's what they usually were, Ninja comics, because I was obsessed with Ninja comics. And I was introduced to them by a comic swap I had done with a friend of mine in sixth grade who wanted a set of comics that I had that I didn't want any longer because it was one of those three-pack Charlton comics. um, and traded them for the first two issues of Elektra in Daredevil by Frank Miller. And that was the thing that set me on fire for ninjas, as well as like Kung Fu Theater. But my point is like, that was always my leaping point. I always leaped off of that content in order to strike my fancy and fire as a creative. And then, yeah, when there was things that weren't working, like anatomy and color and design, you go after Drawing the Marvel Way or some other kinds of books or take art classes and stuff. So I just wanted to bring this to attention and just do a PSA where if you're a parent and you have little kids and you want something for them to really expand their imagination, I believe that this is a really good place to give a go with and see what comes about. And if you grew up with comic books, which I'm assuming you did because you're here listening to us, it might be something to do together. And they're at the dollar store, and I got 3 of them and a figure for $5. I have no sales tax in Delaware, so
yes, the price is definitely.
It's a great entry barrier. So thank you, Dollar Tree, and the creators that put this all together. Like I said, I'm going to try to track them down and bring them on for an indie comic exchange and let them tell their story about how that all happened. So that was my little segment. Jake, back to you.
Yeah. So speaking of buying stuff on the cheap, I was on eBay. I think the last not last week, but the week before, when we were having difficulties connecting to one of our indie creators online, and what happened was I was looking for a comic that online called Full Throttle because I had one and I wanted to get the other one, and I couldn't find it. So eventually, I put a little what do they call it? A little alert online, and then I got contacted. Somebody's selling a copy of Full Throttle, and so I looked at it, and it was like only $1.70 or something, but the shipping was $10 from Canada. So what I did was I looked at all the sellers' other items, and when you look at that, you see, wow, they have tons. They have like 20,000 items online. A lot of them comics, and like hockey cards. So these comics that I ended up buying, I only paid about 75 cents a piece for. And I contacted the eBay seller and I said, what can you do for shipping to New York if I buy a whole bunch? And they said, well, it's like $1 for every additional comic, but if you buy 50, I'll do free shipping.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And it wasn't hard to find 50 comics that I could at least take a shot on. Excuse me. Most of these are 75 cents. Some of these were like $1.50 or something US. There was, Canadian conversion and everything. But here I picked up. So I'm only going to go through a portion of this because I picked up 62 comics, and when it was all said and done, to get that price break. Here I picked up Ninja from Eternity Comics, This is number one. They had multiple issues of this. This cover is Mark Beecham, you could tell. So I'm going to check into this 40-page special. Here we got Mantra, which is an AC Comics character as far as I knew, but here it is in Malibu Comics Ultraverse line in 1993, and so I guess they merged with AC Comics later on. I assume. Um, Look at this, Enchanted World
Whoa.
#1.
Blackmore.
Blackmore
Yeah.
Publishing.
Yeah. They always put some really good stuff together. Wow, that looks really good already. That sneak peek. Oh, I'm gonna write that down.
And they're using Tecton font. Yeah, really interesting artwork. So this is definitely worth a look. I don't know if there was ever. Oh, look, they're advertising #2. That doesn't mean it ever came out, but we could look into that. Here I got Speak of the Devil, Gilbert Hernandez, Dark Horse. This is just great Hernandez Brothers stuff. How about this one,
Woo.
Assassinette?
What?
Pocket Change comic. I know. How do you dare have? I don't know if you can see the PC. Look, PC Comics. How do you dare do PC Comics, knowing that Pacific Comics was out there and they used that as their logo? This looks kind of amateurish. Assassinette Hardcore #1.
Looks good to me.
I don't know. It looks a little bit on the amateurish side, so I picked that up.
Jake, do me a favor and pull your laptop screen forward a bit, because you got a bad glare.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do your best to.
I know the problem.
I know. I'm just.
The problem there is that
perfect.
Is that they fall over.
Yep.
But I'm here. So this is Escape Velocity #1. I have no idea what this is, so I bought it. It's a painted cover. Look at this. What is it? It looks underground. It looks positively underground. And this was put out from Mountain View, California, and I can't even get a year. But more. Look at that. More research needed. Here's Great Galaxies by Zub Comics. As you can see, I'm really just taking a shot on some of this stuff. Yeah. This is 1994, and then we're getting in. So this is just the. This is how they send it to me. So you don't even get a bag and a board with these. So I know this. This is P. Craig Russell. I know this artist very well. The Ring of the Nibelung. This is full color stuff from Dark Horse Maverick line. Can't go wrong. So I think I bought a couple of the Seventh System by Sirius, and I'm starting to get a little more interested in.
I'm going after all of them. I'm going after all of them. I have 3. Yeah. The one that's really cool is, so the guy's name is Roel. And he did, this was like his inaugural wordless black and white. I'm going to actually do this as my next Comics and Influence. So
Comics and Influence, yeah. Well, some of the stuff I see in Sirius, it looks a little bit like on the way to anamorphic. Wow, look at this. This is interesting. So maybe I should have got all the 7 systems. I got #1 and #3. Oh, so that suggests that they didn't have #2. Maybe I just grabbed what I could. All right, this I'm glad I can open up now, because I was very, very curious, and I even Googled, what is this Bluebeard? It says mature readers. This is Slave Labor Graphics, which is a kind of semi-adult or mature publisher that was around for a while. I even contacted them and I got a rejection back in the day. But here's what it looks like inside. Interesting. So more looks like an interesting story. Bluebeard #2 for mature readers. This is A-List Comics, and I think this is going to be reprints. A-List this looks like reprints. This might be public domain stuff. And let's see, it says Jungle Comics, copyright 1997, and this is Wings Comics. This looks like a reprint outfit, and they're just taking. I guess they went. they have black and white art here. I don't know. Did they go back to the original art? Did they strip the, did they scan a comic and strip the color? Who knows? This is Aaron Strips, and it's from Amazing Aaron Comics. And I got this because I recognized the art style. I think this was an adult artist, but let's see if it gives a name here. Amazing Aaron, 1999, Battle Creek, Michigan. Art and script by Aaron Warner, and so this is his stuff. Oh, and it faces this way. You know, he kind of reminds me like of a Michael Golden. He's got a lot of zipatones. So this is number 6. I guess this was around for a while. We're closing in on the end of this segment here. We got The Devil. This is a Dynamite comic. Now this is a red and blue guy. This used to be the original Daredevil, but here they're calling it Devil. So I don't know if they have to change it now because Daredevil, Marvel trademark. So now even the original Daredevil can't use his own name. Isn't that funny and interesting? And this turns out to be, I probably wouldn't have bought this if I knew, but this just turns out to be Dynamite Comics is using public domain characters. They're hiring, current artists and current styles, for better or worse. Look how sparse this is. And they're making new adventures. All right. Second to last, we got Michael Moorcock's Hawkmoon, The Sword of the Dawn. Did you once feature these guys?
Is that Cawthorn? The artist Cawthorn?
It says Dormant.
No.
It says Dormant. No, I don't see Cawthorn. So this is first comic.
Is that
this
Dave
is
Dorman?
1 of 4 miniseries.
I
He's not credited on the inside cover. So no, I don't know. It just says Dorman. Yeah, it looks like a nice pink.
Well, that's
cover.
Dave Dorman.
Like
that's the cover artist, Dave Dorman. He was really hot in the
Right.
90s. But what's the insides? Who did the insides? The guts are not Dave.
Inside, it's Raphael Canayan by art, and he's doing the art and the inking, the pencil and inks. Written by
What
Roger
year?
Salek.
What year?
Letters. 1987. And this book's in great shape, by the way. For
how many pages?
So, how many pages? Well, they have 26 numbered pages.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a trade.
And then, no, this is first, and this is a mini series of 4, so it probably did come out as a trade later, I would imagine, unless it fizzled. But Michael Moorcock, so that's the guy from Elric of Melniboné, right?
Yep.
All right, and I took a shot on this. This is Ground Zero Comics. Dan Parsons, Harpy, Blood of the Demon. No idea. So what happens when we open it? Whoa! Looks like action adventure jungle comics with some cosplay chicks over here, and I guess this is this is mature. This is mature stuff, but look.
That's really nice.
It looks like it's high.
That is really nice.
Yeah, it looks like it's influenced by Image.
Yeah, but it's black and white.
So
that is sweet.
Harpy Comics. From Ground Zero Publishing, April 1997. And this is number 3, April 1997. All right, and so that's going to be the segment for today. Let's get back to production. I did buy, so that's maybe like, 10 or 12 comics? I bought like 60, so I'll do another segment the next couple of episodes and catch you up. And then maybe Kurt will say, hey, why don't you grab this one or that one for the next episode of Comics That Influenced, and we can do a flip through. But, usually I'm torn now because if I'm going to just like sit down and open these things up, I feel like I'd rather do it on the air now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've told you before, we can do a unboxing, just a whole episode devoted to you just unboxing a haul, and that's called a haul
Yeah, but then
video.
do you do? I mean, but we're just doing covers, so I just
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it
I mean, you
like
just yeah, it's a mini
you know,
haul,
it's
and
not,
it's just shouting out some books in the middle. I just was giving you feedback that I didn't want our Making Turbo episode to be 15 to 20 minutes flipping through somebody else's comic book. That was the only thing that I was a little concerned
right.
for.
Yeah, maybe we should do like a special episodes of comics that influence where we're doing unboxing, right? Because if you get a haul on eBay and it's 15 20 comics, it's probably that's probably a segment right there.
Well, like I said, we just devote the whole video to you. Just going through
Right,
60 comic books in 45 minutes.
right. And yeah, I mean, it looks like there's a couple losers there, but there also looks like some intriguing stuff. And you could and some rabbit hole stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because we're in the 80s and the 90s, and it's like these are human beings with lives. What are they doing now? you
Yeah.
know, and it's so funny how many of them end up to be instructors or teachers or professors or something.
Or they just abandon the whole game, and they probably even get a little they try to create some distance from that work. I've had that twice. Twice I've come across
Yeah,
comic book short stories in an anthology and just was like, wow, this is really cool. I'd like to find out more. Track the person down, and then they're like, I really just don't want to talk about it. I've moved on. Comic books for kids or blah blah blah. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, if we've spoken to people, or we've found out the stories of people that just were kids when they did this in college, and it's they don't. I guess it's not as serious. Like I remember that Kirby knockoff guy. I remember he was just doing that in college, and he didn't stick with it at
Well, when you're
all. He
young,
went
you
on to
get really big, blown out ideas of rich and famous because you have in your grasp and your abilities the next great big thing, and then the world hits you, and it keeps hitting you like a wave on a beach, and you can't get out from under the toe, and the next thing you know, you're dragged out into the ocean, and you feel like you're drowning, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, why don't you just get a real job and don't worry about it anymore, and you do, and then you get out of the water, and
yeah.
you got a bad salty taste in your mouth, and you know f that, or it's just even simply like I did it, and I got a wife, or and some kids, and had to support them, and so on and so forth. Comic books always are going to have this kids like attitude to it, and I'm totally fine with that because as I always say, like this hangout that we do to keep ourselves working on Turbo Pitfighter, I just feel like I'm at Jake's house. I'm coming over your house, and we're just sitting in the living room or wherever, and got all our stuff spread out. And not only are you making your comic, but you're like, hey, Jake, look what I bought yesterday, or check this out, or I had this idea, and blah blah blah. Those are some of the best memories I have
Yeah,
growing up. I mean, and you and I used to do that in the '90s. That was part of our.
I remember. Yeah, I remember you came to visit me once in New York, and we went to a Barnes and Noble, and we just like were there for hours.
Yes,
You could just pull stuff off the
yes.
shelf, and then, I did this at a library often or Barnes and Noble. I open up a sketchbook, and I just get some real inspirational stuff, and just going through it, and ripping off ideas, or finding stuff that I can use, and so yeah, I do want to show uh, kind of what I've been doing. Let me see if yeah,
Oh,
there's Turbo. Okay,
nice,
so
nice.
Yeah, we're missing the B. I wonder if that's gonna be readable. I mean, because
Turo,
yeah,
Pitfighter,
Turo.
Turo.
Yeah, right. Because I could yeah. Before I do this, I might want to play with this. What I did was, I'm gonna save this. What do you call it? This quick mask. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oops. Hold on. If I save this layer as a mask right there. No, why is it doing that? I'm trying to figure out how to get this as a quick mask layer. But what worst comes to worst, you know what I'll do is I'll just copy the fist in a new layer. Um, yeah. So inspiration. It's like you really crave it when you're sitting down. Like if I'm staring at an empty sketchbook, I crave something good that I can go over and and it's sometimes you don't even use anything that you're looking at. It just gets you going. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm doing my best to do more sketching, but I find myself just maybe because I don't have like all day to work on something. Um, I fall into it, and a sketch could go on for like 2 days. And when I say 2 days, like I devote 2 to 3 hours every morning because I get up at 5 in the morning and to just drawing, So I just do art immediately because it's the first thing I want to give the world. You know what I mean? My energy to the world is my art, not emails, not business, nothing like that. But I think, oh, I want to do like a little sketch, and from this like photo or this pinup or in a magazine or a comic book or whatever, and just start doodling, and I'm like, oh, I should do this. Oh, what about this? Next thing you know, it's 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's
So
6 hours later, and I've been working on this sketch.
I was sketching recently, and what I do a lot now is I'm thinking of like sketches that are going to like become illustrations for the
Right.
Substack. For different chapters and different bullets on the timeline. But I'm also like making notes at the same time, so I end up with these like pages that look like this, you know, and it's like some ideas here, and and maybe like a drawing that I'll just use like to kind of center it, and I have a bunch of different ways that I make notes to myself. Probably putting stuff in a sketchbook is the worst because I may or may not see it later. I have this like voice recorder app, so I just do like note to self a lot. And I'm using this new app that was pre-installed on my iPhone called Journal, and that seems to be pretty handy. Um, but here's what I came up with recently. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good shot of this, but um, I brought this sketch pad in the rain yesterday. I was trying to go to this cosplay draw-a-thon they
Oh
had at the
yeah,
High School of Art
yeah.
and Design, but they canceled it not because of the rain, but because um, early voting is taking place in the gym, and I think that like surprised a lot of the New York City public schools that they're doing that. Um, Here's a sketch I made of a pit fight, and this is going to be upcoming. It says, in the shadow of the DeHuberton HQ, a card like no other. The DeHuberton HQ is going to look like a building, but it's actually a mobile drone factory that launches anytime they need to.
Like in Krull.
After the final,
Remember the movie Krull?
I don't know.
The alien ship was a castle, and then it would just disappear and move. It would transport itself to another.
Right. Yeah. So this would be like an office tower that turns into a ship. Um, but when the Duke his final act of infiltration, remember he's going to go after the DeHuberton headquarters with a Gundam, but that was just a real distraction. He was actually infiltrating the DeHuberton family's actual location and killed a couple of the principals. But that's when they took off, when they were getting surrounded. Um, Moves around for resources, the weakness. They kept the family gene trait, so they're loyal to each other. Fighters pump up for decades with unproven enhancements. Announcer, the voice of the action, always there to assure betters that the house is there, and he represents the promoters syndicate. This is a note here. We gotta go. Oh wow! I gotta show you. Are you ready for a sketch of the unbeknownst one?
Let's hold it. Let's tease them out because we're over the 45-minute mark. We like to keep these videos bite size. And we are also, I want to be able to get some time in today and get a critique from you because I have completed the last of the 4 stories for Crom the Barbarian. So I'm working on a Crom the Barbarian revised edition where I'm really pushing my grayscale drawing and inking ability to my ballpoint pen pages, which were collected in 2018 with the original Crom the Barbarian material. And so I'm hoping to get your feedback, as I always enjoy getting. So that's what I have. Do you have anything for these good people on the way out?
No, just tune in next week where I will hopefully be back to drawing Turbo pages. But I'm going to give Kurt the cover art, and I'm also going to give Turbo a nose job.
And I'm also going to have, to the best of my abilities, a proof copy of Turbo Teaser number 2, pages 1 through 12. So that's where I'm at. Let these people get back to reading comics, drawing them if they do.
Yes, sir.